This is an awesome book.
Yes, it is.
Okay? Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg wrote on the letters. A book just on the letters.
Right.
On what we spoke last week. Since we spoke about the letters, the Baal Shem Tov's technique, meditative technique, that, every letter has worlds, souls, and divinity. Worlds, physical reality, the screen, the souls, us, because we're connected, and then because we're connected to divinity, and we're connected to this world, and then the divinity. But the idea really is of each letter has these three levels to it. They're very creative, okay? It was a dream of mine, and it still is, for people to just explore the nature of the letters. For example, the letter Aleph. That's your first letter in your name? Right? So he's not going to get, he goes too very deep into each letter. There's no way you can hold this information when you're praying. But there's this basic understanding of the letter Aleph that he speaks about here, which is pretty cool, the very beginning, that he says. He gives like a little synopsis, right? This isn't it. So the name Aleph can mean anything of the following: oxen, thousand, teaching, and master. How do you get that, right? In other words, he'll string a bunch of names and words, and then he puts them all together, and he goes through each layer of each thing. Wow, it's too deep. Okay? So if you look at the letter Beit, Nitaveh HaKadosh Baruch Hu liyot lo dira b'tachtonim. God's purpose, the purpose of creation, which is the letter Beit that we spoke about last week, was God's dwelling place below. And he'll just give you a little bit thing about what each letter is, just to understand the powers of the letters. As it says here, channels of creative consciousness. Anyways, so let's start here. We're on Perek Aleph. We're still in chapter 1. We're going to be starting. Here we got extra books. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. We're going to start with Mishnah Beit, which is on page 22. Okay? That's where we left off. We spoke a little bit about the letters last week, that the letters are interesting, that they have a physical form, they take up space, and yet they have a sound, right? That's what the last paragraph, just before Mishnah 2 starts. If one wishes to influence the spiritual realm, he must make use either of the sounds of the letters or their names. And the statement before that, if he wanted to influence the physical shape of the universe, then he must make use of the physical shape of the letters. The letters have shapes, physical shapes, and they have sounds. Very powerful. Okay? So now we're going to go into step 2. Step 2 is understanding that, once again, the original statement of the Sefer Yetzirah was 32 mystical paths. So what are those 32? So it says here, 10 sfirot of nothingness. This is an interesting word that we have to get into. 10 sfirot of nothingness. Eser sfirot blima. And 22 foundation letters. That means if you look in the chart there on page 29. So the chart on page 29, so we have here 10 sfirot. Those are the circles. And then you'll have basically the lines that are connecting the circles. The lines connecting the circles are going to be the 22 letters. And of those lines that are connecting, there's 3 different types of letters. Okay? That he's going to say right now in the same text. If you go back to the text, 3 mothers, 7 doubles, and 12 elemental letters. 3 mother letters, those are the horizontal lines. A, me, she, or she, me, a, or she, a, me. Okay? Yeah.
It's air, fire, and water.
Earth, fire, and water, that is. Actually, mem is water, aleph is air, and shin is mem. If you look back on that chart on page 29, shin corresponds to the mental, Shin is like a crackling fire. Shh, like Aish.
So shin is fire.
Shin is fire. It looks like fire, doesn't it? It's got
Yes.
3 heads going up.
Yes.
Right?
It does.
Aleph is air. Aleph, let's say in our bodies, because don't forget, we are made in the image and likeness of God. And the image and likeness of God, according to the Kabbalists, this is the tree of life, and this is the image that God made us in. Right? All the way from 1 to 10, these things, these energies, basically our bodies pattern after these energies. Our bodies are formed after these energies. This is the mold that God made us in. Okay? So, the Aleph corresponds to our lungs, the breathing. As you'll see, the Aleph, which is air, it's just silent. Okay? That's an Aleph. Corresponds to the middle part, our middle section, which is an Aleph, which is silent. Some people, if they don't focus on their breathing, they're always breathing, but it's quiet, right? Unless you take note of it and want to focus your breathing, okay? There's only a couple of things that we have where we can actually, it's automatic, and then if you, as soon as any moment you want to, you could take the reins, okay? Breathing is one of them. Mind, breathing, right? You could take the reins anytime, but it'll always be working, the Aleph. Mem is the mime, like it's down here in the diaphragm, down here below. Okay, we'll get into a great meditation in these 3 letters. Okay,
It looks like water too.
Mine.
mime is water.
Yeah.
It's where your water sits
And
down
the
there in the
handwritten one
kishkas.
looks like water.
Kishkas, what?
The handwritten version looks like water.
29.
It's like a nun backwards N.
But it also has a wave.
That's a wave, but then a wave is okay. I like that.
But then there's mem at the end, which is like the backwards end.
Mem at the end or nun at the end?
Oh,
Mem.
what are we talking about? M or
Mem.
N?
She was talking
Oh,
about
sorry.
mem.
The
Mem,
mem,
the letter
not
mem.
at the
Mem
end.
at the end is also like a
The interesting thing, let's just read the rest of the Mishnah, and 12 elemental letters. And the 12 elemental letters, of course, the lines that are connecting everything are the diagonal letters. Okay? So we have 10 sefirot of nothingness. You can join us at the table. Okay, you want to put stuff down, that's okay. 10 sefirot of nothingness. He's going to explain what that means, blima. And then we'll have the 22 letters of the alphabet, which are connecting the sefirot. This is the 32 paths, the 32 wondrous paths, okay? So here, just to talk about 10 sefirot a little bit, okay? You guys don't have the books, you're going to have to listen, because I want to move ahead to Mishnah Gimel. But we're going to quickly cover this a little bit, okay? So on page 23, the Sefer Yetzirah now defines the 32 paths consisting of 10 sefirot and 22 letters, like we discussed. Okay? Skip now to, in the middle of that paragraph there, the second paragraph, I'll just read the whole paragraph. The word sefirah literally means counting, like lispor. It is thus distinguished from the word mispar, that's a number, meaning number. Although the sefirot are said to represent the 10 basic digits, they are not actual numbers. Rather, they are the sources from which the numbers originate. Now, this is an important line. Although the Sefer Yetzirah does not name the 10 sefirot, there's no names for them. You'll see every single Mishnah, every single little bullet that we're going to be reading in chapter 1 says 10 sefirot of nothingness, 10 sefirot of nothingness. Okay? So these are vortexes of energy, but we cannot put a name on them. Even though, he's going to say right now, right? Although the Sefer Yetzirah does not name the 10 sefirot, their names are well known from the classic Kabbalah. And they are given in table 6, if you see at the bottom of this page. The 10 sefirot are usually presented in an array consisting of 3 columns, as we see in this figure here. We can pass this down, okay? Right? So you have this figure here, okay? So you'll have 3 columns, right? This is the after picture. There's the before picture that maybe if you were in my classes, the before picture, it was just one skinny line. It was these 3, and then there were just one line. This represents dynamic interaction. Each one of these now has, and the letters help, to have a dynamic interaction where the energies are always exchanging, okay? Very much like us in the world that hopefully we'll learn sooner than later, right? We can't do it without each other, okay? The Mashiach is going to say it can't be done without every single person on the planet. Every single person. It has to be everybody, okay? Because we're all here and we all have something to give, okay? So this represents dynamic interaction in the letters, okay? But they do have names. Actually, if you see on this piece of paper, Keter, Chachma, Bina, right? Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod Yisod, and Malchut. And there's the names here on the chart that you see it here, okay? You can hold on to that, right? And I've got another one for Ingrid to share. You guys got it already in page 22, or what was it? That page? We keep referring to it. All right? So it's interesting enough that, somebody was asking me, one of my students was saying, hey, it doesn't have a name, stick with the no name. What are you going with names for? How can the later Kabbalists come up with the names for it, right? So thank God Rabbi Kaplan does bring sources in the verses where these names come from, okay? This is pretty good stuff, okay? That's what his style is. He goes where, and he wants to bring you the source of where the actual names come from. So the first three actually come from Betzalel. Betzalel was the person, actually, who was gifted, as it says in this verse, I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom and understanding and with knowledge. Right? Ruach Elokim Chachma, with Bina and Da'at. Okay? So here represent the mental sphirot. Okay? Ruach Elokim is represented by crown. That's the first sphirot. And wisdom and understanding refer to the next two sphirot. And of course, Da'at, we say is a quasi one. It is not here, because it's really, he says, is a convergence. So Da'at is like one of those quasi sphirot. But these represent the mental sphirot, Keter, Chachma, and Bina. Chachma is also called Abba, father. Bina is also called mother, understanding. Okay? That's what they literally mean. Crown, wisdom, and understanding, and then you'll have knowledge here. Okay? So there's a source where we get Chachma, Bina, and Da'at. Thank God. Many years ago, I moved my nusach, the nusach meaning the text of the prayer book. I moved over from Ashkenaz to Sfard, not Sfardi, nusach Sfard. And it's a difference, the nusach, Yeah. I don't even remember the Ashkenaz. Dea Bina V'Haskel. Right? It has a completely different order and completely different wording. While in the Nusach Sfard and the Sfardi is Chachma Bina V'Dat. V'tein lanu Chachma Bina V'Dat. Okay? So it's an idea of connecting to those things. And then we say, Bruchat Hashem Chonein HaDa'at. The first thing that we ask for in the Shemona Esrei, in the silent prayer, is Da'at. Right? We've got to have the awareness. Da'at is the discernment, the awareness. Okay?
Yeah, and that shows that Hashem is not against knowledge.
No, you kidding me? That first blessing is the most unbelievable blessing. It's so unbelievable because the blessing says Chonein Hada'at. Do you know what Chonein means? You know what Chain means? Chain is graciously. He graciously gives Da'at. He graciously gives it. And my meditation is when I say this blessing these days, there's a great word that we say, great line, comes from the prophets, that it says that in the end of days, that the knowledge of God will fill the earth, right? Kamaim biyam mechasim, as the waters cover the seas, right?
Is that Isaiah?
Kimala haaretz, dea et Hashem, that the whole earth will be filled with the knowledge of God, and as the sea covers the waters, right? How does the sea cover waters? It is water. What are you talking about? Okay, we'll have to do a little study about that. Kamaim biyam mechasim, because it's mostly covering the earth, right? In other words, everybody will know God. So, when we pray for this, we not only pray for it for ourselves, we pray the entire world, the hearts of the entire world should become open. And we say a blessing, Chonein Hada'as, God is giving that. God is Chonein, and He's not giving it with an attitude. Chonein is with love. It's a chain. Okay? So then that's the first 3, or really 4 sfirot. The first 2 sfirot are likewise alluded to in another verse, he says. With wisdom God established the earth, and with understanding he established the heavens, and with his knowledge the depths were broken up. Okay, once again, he brings from King Solomon in Proverbs. It is likewise with another verse, Rabbi Kaplan brings down. With wisdom a house is built, with understanding it is established, and with knowledge its rooms are filled. So you can go into the exact understanding of wisdom, building a house, understanding and fixing it, establishing it. Wisdom, the rooms are, knowledge is different. Each thing is a different function. And let's say it's also a function of our minds as well. Okay? But so the issue is, okay, just to move a little forward, okay? The next 7 verses actually also that we say it in the liturgy. We say it also in the prayer book. We say it actually in one of the verses, the hymns of praise, in the Curated Yetzirah that we say every morning. Actually, it comes from King David. It says, L'cha Hashem hagadula v'hagivura v'hatiferet. To you, Hashem, is the greatness, the strength, the beauty, the netzach v'achod, the victory, the splendor. Ki kol b'shamayim. All in the heavens and the earth. L'cha Hashem hamamlacha, melech, malchut. So there is an allusion in that very verse that he says here, yours, O God, are the greatness, the strength, the beauty, the victory, the splendor for all. That's really for Yesod, its foundation. In heaven and earth, yours, O God, is the kingdom. So here's an allusion brought down from Chronicles of the lower 7 sfirot. So the names aren't just made up. The names actually come from the Tanakh for the 10 sfirot. However, the Sefer Yetzirah doesn't mention them. So there's another idea that we have to really get into, that he brings down later in this section here. He says, when he speaks that the Sefer, that the 10 Sfirot are of nothingness, bli ma literally means without. Bli ma is what? Without what? So obviously, what is it alluding to? We say that the 10 Sfirot, they emanate from the highest of the spiritual realms. The highest of the spiritual realms is called Atzilut. It's the closest to God. Atzilut means nearness. There are 4 dimensions that we have in our tradition. Our dimension, which is called making, doing. The one above us is called formation. That's the realm of the angels. The one above it is called creation. And then above that is Atzilut. Atzilut is way high. Atzilut is the ultra-gated community. You can't get in. But things that come out, you can grasp. So the 10 Sfirot come out, but you still can't put a finger on them. Okay? You still can't describe it. Abstract and ineffable. And the Sefer Yetzirah wants to keep you on that. Okay? But the interesting idea that he brings down here is, I'm trying to find the words here. He brings here the vowels. There's a possible idea that the sfirot are the vowel sounds. If you notice that the vowels, actually we have, how many vowels?
7?
Actually, it's not really 10. He says 10, but it's really 9 vowels.
9?
So if you go, each sphera corresponds to a different vowel, except for Malchut. Malchut we know is the moon. Malchut, this lower sphere, is the moon. It relates to the moon. The moon has no light of its own. Just like the moon Malchut has nothing of its own. Everything is reflected. So therefore it really has no vowel. But here, each one of the sfirot have a vowel sign. This is the kamatz, patach, seirei, right? Segol. It's not going to tell you. I'm telling you right now. This is called word of mouth. Okay.
What is Keter?
Segol, Shava. And you'll notice, right? Right? So then you have kubutz. Not kubutz, sorry. You have malupum. They call it malupum.
What?
Huh?
You'll have, forget it. Don't worry about it
I'm
right
gonna-
now. You're not going to follow it. I'm going to
What
get
does
it to you
look
later.
like?
What?
What does it look
You
like?
know what the vowels look like.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
So
No.
there are 3 dots.
Okay.
The 3 dot
Kubutz,
one?
shuruk, you
Kubutz
have
is the
hirik,
3 dots in an angle.
right? And then you have nothing, right?
Chirik is the E.
Oh, yeah.
Now, these vowels are pretty significant. we know the vowels are pretty simple, but the vowels without letters, see, what is the relationship of the vowels to the letters? Right? The letters cannot move without a vowel. It's just dead. It's like a car with no gas. Nothing. You need a be, a e, u, ah, right? You need a vowel to move the letter, to move the word, okay? So it is a light that really exists above the letters. And it is a greater light because it's smaller. It's more distant. You only see like a smallest star far away, planet or whatever. That's the vowels, okay? They come from very distant, okay? And the vowels by themselves, you can't speak in vowels, right? Can you? I figured out your vowels. E, le, ni, correct?
Very good.
Right?
B+.
So it's e. Well, yeah, you can't communicate. You need the letters. The letters may give it its formation, right? So that's why we say that blima, also the sefirot, is because if they represent the vowels, it's like light that you can't do anything with unless you got a letter. Okay? You got keys to a Lamborghini, but if you ain't got the Lamborghini, you ain't got squat. Okay? I got the keys, but I ain't got the car.
Rabbi,
Okay?
believe ma. Doesn't ma mean something very
What?
special?
Yes, it does. It really represents ma is really chachma. The word chachma, which means wisdom, means koach ma, the power of ma. Ma is a big thing, actually. Ma is a level of consciousness. It's a level of consciousness that you reach, actually. When you reach it, you're almost nullified. You almost don't exist in that level. Really, Keter, you don't exist, but Chachma, you're pretty close. Rabbi Nachman speaks about the power of Ma, okay? It's ultimate humility. The Baal Shem Tov does. The ultimate humility. Aaron and Moshe, when everybody came complaining, what did they say? Ma nachnu. Ma, what are we? What are we? V'nachnu ma. Us? What? Okay? Some people could say what in a lot of different ways, right? So the idea really here is it's something that cannot be described. It's something that has to be experienced. That's why it's called Eser Sefirot Blima, and they don't want to give you a name. Even though we have names, I don't know why they later Kabbalists would attribute the names, but we have to because we have to have some kind of grasp. Okay? You know, Rabbi Nachman brings down in the very first Sikha, he says, you know, a person's relationship with God and his knowledge of God is compared to yesterday, what he has today. You cannot describe it in words. Right? We cannot describe it in words. A Jew can't even tell a Jew what another Jew is, the Baal Shem Tov says. Because they're always on a different level. You can't. I came back from Uman, visiting Rabbi Nachman's grave on Rosh Hashanah. People want to know, no. I finally realized I tried to describe it and I couldn't. Some things can't be described.
But there's something to experience.
Something to experience.
But
right?
you did experience it.
I did, but I can't put it in words for you. You got to go taste it yourself. Can
It's
I
only
describe
for men.
chocolate pudding, chocolate mugu pie to you?
I thought it was
You have
just
to
for
experience it. What?
Just
There are
for
women
men.
there. Women go. Just they don't go on Rosh Hashanah. Okay? Okay? So he brings down here just an interesting thing. Okay? Because the letters we say are very powerful, and the letters together with the vowels are very powerful. All right? So he says here a line here on page 27, the second paragraph. Okay? Thus, if one knows how to manipulate the letters correctly, one can also manipulate the most elemental forces of creation. The methods of doing this comprise the main subjects of Sefer Yetzirah. Okay? So in other words, using the letters is very, very powerful. Meditating on the letters is very, very powerful.
What page?
Page 27.
Thank you. I don't like to carry the book.
That's okay. Okay? So there are ways of channeling these letters. in order to bring about certain things. Okay, now we're going to skip to where we have here, I have some handouts for people on Mishnah number 3. Okay? Here you go. Number 1, 3. Here's whoever else wants. Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Got it.
No, that looks-
Oh, that's the page 2. It's okay. All right, good.
Page 2?
So here we go. Yeah, there's the second page, but
Can I have
I'll
a second?
hold that back until. Oh, might as well give it out now. Just hopefully it has numbers on it. That's it. It goes really on this side. I think. Here we go. Okay. All right.
Numbers?
So 10 Sefirot of nothingness. Eser Sefirot bli ma. B'mispar Eser etzba'ot. They are in the number of 10 fingers. Interesting how they get into fingers. Okay.
No.
Chamesh keneged chamesh. 5 opposite 5. Ubris yachid mikaven be'emtza b'milat haloshon u'b'milat hamaor. So he says 10 Sefirot of nothingness in the number of 10 fingers. You'll ask a question, why is he relating it to fingers? And then 5 opposite 5. That's bizarre. So he's going to explain it. With a singular covenant, precisely in the middle, in the circumcision of the tongue, and in the circumcision of the membrum. Okay? There are not many things that are in the middle of the body, organs in the middle of the body. Okay? Direct center. Your nose even has 2. The holes are not in the center. Okay, the middle thing. Except for if you're Mick Jagger, he doesn't have one of these anymore.
Got burned out. Summer sniffles were too strong.
He doesn't have it anymore.
He lost it. I was snorting too much
Oh,
drugs.
Yeah.
Okay. In any case, I'm sure it's there. It's just one of those things people pass around as a kid. But really, in the center, really, there's only 2 organs, the mouth, and then there's the sexual organ. And then there's the spine, if you call that an organ. There's a very big connection, actually, from the mouth to the spine. You know, the Kabbalists always know this and have this handed down, even though that science doesn't have a connection, but the seed comes from the brain. We have handed down. So there's definitely a connection, they say, for also a person's prayers, Rabbi Nachman says. If a person is not Shomer Brit, if he does not keep the covenant, then his prayers are blocked from being answered. Okay? It's going to affect his prayers. You got to be totally in total alignment. Talking about with integrity, spiritual-wise. So in any case, let's just go on here. The number of 10 fingers. Creation is said to have been accomplished with God's fingers. As it is written, when I see your heavens, the work of your fingers. The 10 numerical digits similarly parallel the 10 fingers in man. The 5 fingers in the hand contain a total of 14 bones. This is the numerical value of yad, 14. Right? The Hebrew word for hand. Okay? Very significant things in the Kabbalah about yad, hand. Okay? We say this is 14. You have 14 joints, 14. And then you do 14. What's 14 and 14?
28.
Mathematicians? 28. Koach masav higid li'amo. Very powerful, the number 28. Okay? 28 is koach. But there's a verse that brings down the first Rashi in Genesis, right? Koach masav higid li'amo, the power of his deeds he has told to his people. Now, koach, right? There's a lot that goes into it. I'll just share with you a little things, okay? 28, okay, the number 28. Actually, if you'll look at how many letters are in the very first line of Genesis, it's 28 letters.
The first verse?
Very first verse. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. Count those letters, 28. Okay? If you count the Yehesh Me Rabbah that we answer in Kaddish, 28. Why? What's the connection? The Zohar, Tikkunei Zohar brings unbelievable connection. So powerful. Since the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, right? The power of Genesis, of Bereshit, that is usually in the world, we now do. It is upon us to infuse creation with life, with power, by saying the Amen Yehesh Me Rabbah, B'kol Kocho, with all of a person's koach, 28, right? And when we say it with all our koach, we infuse creation every time we answer. We become a co-partner in creation by infusing creation with the power. Okay? But Rabbi Nachman brings a great thing. He brings the power of clapping. Right? The power of clapping, he says, what happened? That's why you'll see in Breslov. If you ever go to a Breslov shul, where you can listen from outside. They clap a lot. Okay? Especially when they're praying. They clap. Now, a lot of people from outside might have an idea. You've ever seen it? Okay, fine. It's a big, huge thing in the Breslov to clap the hands, okay? Because it brings 14 and 14 together to make it 28. And what Rabbi Nachman says is what happens is that the air of Israel is so pure, the prayers go up. But the air in Shmutz Laaretz, okay, we'll call it Shmutz Laaretz, which means outside of Israel, it has all of the nations are all thinking all their thoughts. And those thoughts, in Sanskrit the word is vritis, thought waves, that even though they don't have now, they haven't come up yet with, I'm sure soon they will, a machine that can measure thought waves. But we know that there's waves bouncing all around us, right? Television, radio, cell waves.
Even clapping.
Clap.
Your hands don't touch when you clap.
My hands don't touch. How do you like that? Okay.
They don't?
No, the sound of the clapping is the displacement of the air when you do this.
Thank you.
Because if you could actually touch, your atoms would fuse together and you'd never come apart. So
Oh my God.
everything is charged
Thank God.
negatively.
So the idea really here, he says, is if you're caught in a place and you can't think, you're distracted, it's because of the thoughts that are bouncing all around us. That they affect us. Don't think not. Just because the human brain, we know we use how much percent? 14%. It ain't 100, okay? Right? So there's a lot of the mind, the subconscious mind, that picks up all this stuff. And it confuses the mind, and it affects our conscious mind. So a way for us to get clarity is we have to clap, and that clapping brings the kaf chay, koach ma'asav higid li'amo, the power of his deeds he told to his people, makes the air clear. It turns the air around you into instant Eretz Yisrael. The air then turns into the holy land of Israel, and then you can pray, and then you can think. Okay? So that's the idea of clearing the air and bringing us to the land of Israel. Okay, it's all hinted to in that first Rashi there, a very powerful idea that Rabbi Nachman brings down. I'm only bringing you like the tip of the iceberg.
I don't remember him saying anything except that he brings all this stuff from Genesis in so that we should know that Hashem created the world and it's his to give to us.
That's Rashi. But he quotes this verse, and that verse, everything is in that verse. Okay? Because the verse has to do with Eretz Yisrael. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. This is what you tell the nations. The nations say we were thieves, we stole the land. And we say, koach ma'asav higid li'amo. There's this power in Israel. Of course, the simple understanding is, hey, it's his land. He takes it from ever and gives it to whoever, right? But there's a different,
Where's the verse?
more subtler. It's the very first Rashi, okay, in Genesis. But Rabbi Nachman takes it to a whole different level, okay? That clapping clears the air to bring you to the land of Israel so that your prayers will be answered, okay?
I've got to tell you, my holy son and all the autistic kids that are very holy.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
My holy son, and who's special needs, they clap
There you go.
or they flap their hands.
See, now if you clap with this in mind, then what you're doing is you're bringing more of God's power
These are kids that can't-
into here
They
and
don't
now.
talk, but they do that.
And clapping also, Rabbi Nachman says, it's mamtik the dinim. It sweetens the judgments.
What's
Okay.
wrong with doing this?
The Arizal says, don't do that. Don't do that.
Why not?
Don't do that.
It's hard
You're
not
not allowed
to
to
do
do
it. I
this.
always want to do it.
This is perfect for right now. I'm glad that you asked. Very nice. Thank you. Because this short circuits, creates a short circuit of all of the energies. Don't forget, these 10 fingers are the 10 sfirot. The energies are in here. When I do the Birkat Kohanim, the blessing of the Kohanim, there's different ways we can hold our hands when we're underneath that talus. And no peeking, any of you. Of course you can't, because you're up there. Okay? So, in any case, there's a special way that we hold our hands. One of the shittas is make sure that you leave space in between all of the fingers so that all of the energy of the 10 sfirot flow through to the people.
How's that? This is how I do it.
Well, that's simple, Mr. Spock, right? I can do it with one hand, but really we leave a space, and I'm not allowed to do it with both hands. We're not really not allowed as a Cohen to do it like
What?
out in the
Like
open
Vulcan?
like that. Yeah, the Vulcan. He stole it. He looked under. You know the story. He peeked under the Kohanim to see how their hands were,
I thought
and then he
was
used
Cohen.
it in Star Trek. He says, "Hey, can I do this for a greeting?" And they go, "Yeah." Gene Roddenberry said, "That's awesome. Sounds really great. Live long and prosper." He stole it from the Kohanim.
But I thought
Everybody
he was
knew
a
that.
Cohen, and that's how he.
No,
Look.
no. Go. You can mamish go YouTube the interview. He peeked under the talus. He peeked under the talus and he saw the hands of the Kohanim.
I know it because I am a Dabas Cohen.
Okay, so in any case, 5 opposite 5, page 33. Although the Sefirot are usually divided into 3 columns, they can also be arranged in 2 arrays. This is very important stuff because you have to know some of them are masculine and some of the Sefirot are feminine. You have to know which are masculine and which are feminine. Okay? Page 33. It should be this sheet on the opposite side of this. Here you have this piece of paper. Turn it over. Okay? They can also be arranged in 2 arrays, one to the right and another to the left. The masculine Sefirot are on the right side, would then be all those normally on your right, as well as the 2 center Sefirot. The feminine, he'll explain, he'll go into it. The feminine Sefirot on the left would include the 3 normally on the left, together with the lower 2 Sefirot. I think what happens if you look at here, the next page that I gave you, just to move forward. So you see on this charts are just great here. It's this part right here, where it just brings down feminine strengths and masculine loves. I love how he just translates that. Thank you, God. That's great. Notice how he calls it feminine strengths. That's Bina, Gevura, Hod, Yesod, and Malchut.
Yesod is feminine?
Yeah, when you divide it like that, yes, it is. Wow, how could
That's
that be?
kind of.
And look at the other ones. Keter, Chachma, Chesed, Tiferet, and Netzach are considered masculine. Okay? So he said the 3 normal ones, which are Bina, Gevura, and Hod. And then you have the other 2, which are Yesod and Malchut, are the feminine ones. And then, of course, the regular ones on the right, which correspond to the masculine, are Keter, Chachma, and Chesed. And, Keter, I lost it. Chachma, Chesed, and Netzach. And the 2 upper ones of Keter and Chesed are associated with that. Okay? That's how we would divide it. Okay, let's go back here to the page 33. The 5 masculine Sefirot are often referred to as the 5 loves, Chasadim, since they are on the side of Chesed. The 5 feminine Sefirot are similarly called the 5 strengths or Gevurot, because they are on the side of Gevura strength. We never covered this with you, probably. I don't know if we'll get to it. But when you think about the Chasadim and the Gevurot, really they flow from Da'at through. So,
Wait a minute. Who flows from Da'at through the body?
Yeah, we'll have to get to it another time, okay? But in any case, just to understand, when the Sefirot are divided, there's masculine, there's feminine, 5 opposite 5. When the Sefirot are in their normal state, arrayed in the 3 columns, they are in a state of equilibrium, balance. But when the Sefirot of the central column are moved to the right and left, so as to divide the Sefirot into 2 arrays, a powerful tension is produced. When they are in such a mode, powerful spiritual forces can be directed and channeled. Okay, do an exercise right now. Everybody's got to clap your hand 10 times. Keep going. Now shake. Shake. Now I want you to bring your palms of your hands close together. Not too close. And you have to try to be sensitive to the energy that is in, as if you were holding a ball. And what do you have to do? If you're really sensitive, you'll feel like a pressure, almost like magnets. Not too close. If you want to get too close, you can get close. But usually, you start from afar and you move your hands slowly close together until you feel like a pressure, like a balloon, or like a ball, or like magnets. Might take practice. You have to relax. Okay, but if you do this, you'll have to move your hands slowly together until you feel like almost like there's a tension in between the 2 hands. Okay, this is usually a training that I do after like some meditation when a person is relaxed, because usually, we're not in a relaxed state now. But if you bring your hands closer, you'll actually start to feel tension. Anybody feel anything?
Yeah.
Right? Like a ball. Okay? You're not supposed to do that. I forgot why. Because you short circuit. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. Okay? Okay?
Don't touch the tips of your hand.
Right? I go to exercise class and they, okay, now do this. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'll do like this. Okay? So, in any case, okay, just to understand the tension here, and this is what he says here, right? The tension in between powerful spiritual forces can be detected and channeled.
Where is that?
When you hold your hands like this, okay? So this is what I used. I was actually in a healing class in Israel. This guy by the name of Kobe, he was training us. And when I felt this, and I did a lot of these alternative healing classes, when I felt that, I was just a completely different person. I was like, oh my gosh. And then you can do it, and you can do it all over your body. And actually when they do Tai Chi, one of the Wu Chi position is if they're hugging a tree. Of course, they're feeling that energy. And of course, it's just radiating inside of them. Because it's like they're hugging a tree, but then that energy gets bigger and bigger, and you feel it more intensely. Not totally intense, but a little bit of intensity. Then you feel it like this, okay? And that's really what all of Tai Chi really is about. That you are using this energy and you're touching just various points around your body. Is that
thing where it's a dance and you face all different directions?
Yeah. It's a
And sometimes it's
Chinese dance. Chinese
Yes.
Tai Chi,
It's
yes.
not dancing, it's really
Not really
fancy.
dancing.
No,
It's
it's
really
actually
fancy fighting.
It's
a
slow motion.
It's a slow
very
motion warrior.
slow
Yes.
motion fighting. But really, if you get into it, there's Tai Chi for health, which is basically you can use it and then you manipulate the energy
But
on your
after you've got
hands.
a nice, strong ball of energy here.
That's good. You keep that and just
you-
hang out with that.
Well,
Okay.
no, you can give it to somebody else.
You
and heal them.
always give it to someone. It's not yours to keep.
Because I don't know anything
not yours
else to
to
do
keep.
with it but to give it to
You
somebody
only
else.
give it to the world. The energy
Yes.
only flows out from you to the world. Always flows out. It's all for the purpose of flowing out. Okay? The idea here is there's a lot of power when you do this and you access this, okay? And you use that, okay? Therefore, in many places where God interferes directly with the physical world, the scripture speaks of God's fingers or hands. The most obvious case occurs with reference to creation itself, which the psalmist calls the work of your fingers, as quoted above. We similarly find, my left hand has founded the earth, my right hand has spread out the heavens. Right? Before such a creative act could take place, all the Sefirot had to be polarized to male and female sides, generating tension and force. Okay? In other words, the tension in between. Just to have a sense of that, there's tension in between, as we'll see in a minute. Okay? Right? Just as human procreation involves male and female, so does divine creation. That's a powerful statement. Very closely related to this are the various actions that use the hands to channel spiritual forces. These include the laying of hands, the lifting of hands in the priestly blessing that I told you, and the spreading of the hands in prayer. We don't do that really anymore. They used to do that, really, but we don't do that anymore. It's kind of weird why we don't do that anymore, but we don't do that anymore.
You know what?
I mean, in Shimon Bar Yochai in the Zohar, he says if a person lifts his hands and he's not in prayer, whoa, 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 bad news. But implied there, if you lift your hands in prayer, that's fine, right? People generally in synagogue don't do that anymore, and the reason why is, I bet you can guess. Because?
It's too sexy?
Say it. It's there.
The people who are out there is too common. It's
Yes.
too common.
All the churches do it.
They do it, yeah.
So since all the churches take and do it like radically, we can't do it. We do that all the time. Once they just adopt something too much, then we just...
What do you do? Can you show?
Like Pentecostal stuff, like, and they're singing to like Hillsong.
Hallelujah. I got it. So therefore, we don't do that anymore.
And they fall backwards and start.
We don't do like that kind of stuff. Every time they copy us and radically and they go way out, we just like, we're done. We used to do that with an altar. It says Yaakov Avinu, he sets up a pillar. They used to set up monuments, one stone monuments, which is really cool. Right, a one stone monument, like after he had the dream with the ladder, he got up, it was one stone, he set a stone monument, right? And once the nations just took that over, and they were like, everybody's doing one stone monuments. I got a one stone monument store, right? And we got Amazon one stone monument, right? So therefore, we're gone, we're done. We can never make a monument with one stone anymore. We always use multiple stones for all of our altars and things like that, okay?
What about Cleopatra's Needle?
I don't know anything about Cleopatra's Needle.
It's a tall,
An obelisk?
yeah, that's...
Hey, man. Whatever floats their boat. I don't know what it is. It's whatever. It's a one stone deal. It's not us. It has nothing to do with us. In any case.
One in Washington, too.
Okay. So the idea really here is like hands are in all of these cases, the intent is to channel the power of the 10 sefirot through the 10 fingers and making them correspond to the two hands. The sefirot are polarized, creating spiritual tension, right? So we have this figure on 330. We already saw the chart on the figure on the next page. Once such tension exists, through meditation and concentration, the powers of the sefirot can be focused and channeled.
It's an
Okay.
interesting choice of words, polarized.
You have to have the tension. When the tension is there, that's when something can be created.
Like the
You
opposite
create
poles of a
something
magnet
new.
to create
Okay?
electricity.
No, because that's what you feel when you do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Plus and minus.
Yeah.
No,
Yes,
minus
exactly,
and minus. Because
exactly.
if it was plus and minus, it'd come like this. Your skin's negative charge, so when you come together, you feel that tension because it's pushing away. It's two magnets of the same positive or negative.
Two
repel.
positive or two?
They repel each other.
So
This
if
is
you
exactly
have
how this
positively
feels.
charged,
If you
negatively
get into
charged
this, it's
things,
exactly how it
fighting
feels.
things.
That when I felt it the first time, I felt it as if I was holding two magnets with the
Trying to push
opposite,
away.
right, and
Yeah.
they pushing each other away.
And what do we call this?
magnetism.
We don't. 10 spirit of nothingness. 5 opposite 5. The tension in. So he says here.
But we do call it tension.
See, he calls like
You
the
don't
tablets,
have to
like
experience it, not name it.
Here.
I've been experiencing it since I was 4
You're
years old,
too
but I never knew how to
intellectual.
ask anybody what it
You have
was.
to
Because I didn't
listen
have
to.
a word.
Okay.
Turn your brain off.
Let's just go a few more minutes, okay?
I know.
And a singular covenant. The Hebrew word here is Brit Yachid. Some read Brit Yichud. Okay? Some have a different way of text. Here it says Brit Yachid. A similar concept is found in the last chapter in regard to Avraham. Okay? In general, a covenant, a Brit, is something that comes between two separate parts. The paradigm of a covenant is that which God made with Abraham when he commanded him to take a prime heifer, a prime female goat, a prime ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. These 5 animals parallel the 5 fingers. Look at the next page if you have it, right? Where you have here, you have these animals, and you have in between, okay? There were 5, 1, 2, 3. I don't see it. I see 6, 7, 8. What is of tension realm, okay? It was like a vortex, okay, in order to make a covenant. Now, a covenant is always really, there's two partitions. Later on, we have in the book of Deuteronomy where Moshe had everybody enter into a covenant, and he made basically two mechitzas, two walls, and everybody walks in between. So the idea here expressed is the tension in between the tablets, okay? When the 10 sefirot are divided into this double array, the place in the middle becomes the focus of spiritual tension. This place then is called the singular covenant or the unifying covenant. So I had a whole thing that I was working on about the two tablets. Now the two tablets, they know that each commandment, right? Each commandment corresponds to the commandment of the next tablet. In other words, commandment number 1, we'll call it really Esrog, statement number 1, corresponds to number 6, the first one on the next one. Really, because the first one is, I am Hashem your God, who brought you out of Egypt. That corresponds to, don't kill. Well, what's the connection between those? There is a connection. The connection is, basically, that man is made in the image and likeness of God. So therefore, to kill a person, you're also killing God, right? So, so to speak, you're driving God out of the world. I am Hashem, your God, who brought you out of Egypt. I'm in the world. I'm in with you, right? Meanwhile, a person who kills. So you see, in between, I wanted to call the whole this whole article I was writing, "Reading Between the Tablets," because really, between the tablets, something that's not spoken, right? So you'll have the spoken word in between on each tablet, but then there's in between the tablets, there's a concept, a very high concept. In each one of these corresponding five, if you put them together, you'll see there's 5 dynamic concepts that are in the 10 sefirot. But of course, it's not explicitly said. It's reading between the tablets, like read between the lines, read between the tablets. So that's like the last one. I'll end up with this one. The last one is an interesting one. The last commandment is honor your mother and father. They always ask, honor your mother and father. It's in the first set of tablets. It's kind of strange because we know that the first set of tablets correspond to a person's relationship between man and God. You would think honoring your parents, what does that have to do with honoring God? It's a relationship with God. It's a relationship with my parents. It's honoring my parents. I got it. But that should be man-to-man kind of thing, right? But no. It's on the tablets of man to God. How is that? And then on the other one, the corresponding commandment for that is don't covet. We call it don't covet. Don't desire your neighbor's house, donkey, etc., etc. Okay, maid, right? So how does that jive? It's an amazing principle. Probably one of the most dynamic principles, right? How does this one jive with this one? So they explain in the remembering the book, Sefer. He explains why does man honoring your parents have to do with man to God. So the idea really here is the magic words, hakaras hatov. You have to recognize the good. You always have to be very on the spot. Top priority, recognize the good. And you can't recognize the good God gives you until you recognize the good that your parents do for you. It's a stepping stone. A stepping stone to having a relationship with God and recognizing the good God gives you is to recognize your parents, to honor your parents. That is the way to do it. You can't do it any other way. Okay? So the other idea, the corresponding commandment is don't desire other people's stuff. Well, of course, if you recognize the good in your life, you won't go desiring. You know that every single thing that God gives you is absolutely for the best. So therefore, the last reading between the tablets is Hakaras HaTov, recognizing the good. Not explicitly said, but it's there. The tension between the tablets and the creative principle. Okay, we'll stop here. Yeah, any questions?